Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited for today's video because we're going to be talking, well, I don't know if I would say excited. The topic of today's video is 10 products that in my collection that I feel like I haven't gotten my money's worth out of. So while I'm excited to talk to you guys about this, I'm not excited that it feels like I'm not getting my money's worth. This was a video I believe started by Samantha March. I know she's done a couple videos like this, so I'll leave her channel and her videos linked down below for you guys in case you're interested in checking them out. I do plan to film a products I do feel like I got my money's worth out of, so stay tuned for that. That should be coming up. Before we jump into the video, I hope you guys will consider subscribing to my channel. I post videos every single Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, but without further ado, let's jump into the 10 products in my collection. Definitely have not gotten my money's worth on them. Okay, so I feel like I have quite a bit of eyeshadow on this, which is not shocking because, I mean, eyeshadow palettes and stuff are expensive and I have like too big of a collection. Like I definitely need to do a declutter one day. One day. But up first, this was a huge letdown. However, before I made this purchase, I should have known that like I wasn't gonna get a ton of use out of this. It is the Huda Beauty Gemstone palettes in Emerald Obsessions, as well as my Amethyst one that's just in a different room. I don't feel like grabbing it right now. The reason why I feel like, so this was only $27, which like, I mean, that's expensive. But I love the Huda Beauty like original 6 Obsessions palettes. I just don't wear green eyeshadow that often. It's not like a wearable everyday look that I can, you know, I can't really wear green eyeshadow to work every day. So yeah. Same with the purple one. Like I love wearing purple eyeshadow, but it's just not a wearable everyday palette. Now I am currently trying to pan one of the shades in here, but even if I pan the shades, like this just, I shouldn't have purchased this. This just wasn't worth my money. I should have saved that $27 and spent it on something else. But I also feel like the formula in the Gemstone palettes specifically have not been up to par with the other Obsessions palettes, so that was also kind of a bummer. I'm going to talk about an eyeshadow single. This is the Dose of Colors Block Party eyeshadow in Leave Me Alone, and I'm super bummed about this. So it looks beautiful in the pan. The swatches that I saw online when these released were beautiful, but like, I mean, that's what my swatch looks like. I actually haven't tried this on my eyes yet, but this was $20. I should not have purchased this. This was like, I kept trying to talk myself out of this. I'm disappointed in myself for purchasing this. I don't know how I'm ever going to do a look with this, but I'm going to try. I've had this in my collection now for at least 5 or 6 months and still have not used it, so definitely haven't gotten my money's worth out of this. Even if I used up like the whole pan, I don't know if I'll feel like I got $20 worth of product out of this. I know I won't use up the whole pan. So yeah, that was definitely a waste of my money. I have a concealer to talk about. This is the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Under Eye Concealer, and I can't remember what I paid for this, but it was definitely in the 20s. At least in the 20s. And I just don't reach for this one. It is super full coverage and I don't mind the formula. I think it's a good formula, but because it's like a squeeze tube and it's super, I don't know, I just don't ever find myself reaching for this. I did consider decluttering this at one point, but then when I used it, I really liked it. So it's just one that I always have to remind myself to use. I don't find myself reaching for it that often. I don't see myself using this up before it goes bad, so definitely didn't get my money's worth out of this one. That I didn't get my money's worth out of. This is one of the Melt Stacks. I don't remember what this one was called. It's the one with the purples in it. And I was not that impressed. I lost one of my pans. It fell out, so it's in a Z palette right now. I just wasn't that impressed with the formula. I felt like it was a little bit more difficult to work with. It's been a little bit since I've worked with this formula, so I'm going to try it again. I've been meaning to actually for the last like 2 months, and just haven't gotten around to it. I mean, I've created some pretty looks with it, but I feel like it's taken me quite a bit of effort to create those looks. I'm just like swatching these out right now, and I believe this was like, it was either $48 or $52. Yeah, they just don't even like, and I know swatches don't tell the whole story, but it's just like some of these swatches just aren't even good. So and then on top of that, everyone talks about this, but the Melt packaging just is not my favorite. I know I really want to try their Smoke Sessions palette, but it's been sold out and I don't know if it's ever coming back. But the greens in there just like speak to me, even though I just talked to you guys about how like green isn't an everyday wearable color for me. It hasn't like deterred me from wanting to try other products from Melt, even though their prices are out of control ridiculous. But this is definitely a product that I did not feel like I got my money's worth out of, and I don't see myself ever feeling that way about these. I have a powder to talk to you guys about. This is the Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Powder, and I actually feel like this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but the translucent powder didn't work for me. It looked too cakey underneath my under eyes, on my skin. I just never really liked it. So I thought if I purchased the Secret Brightening Powder that might be a good option, and I still find this to look super cakey underneath my eyes. I feel like my under eyes look super dry when I use this. I don't feel like it gives me like a super brightening effect. So I've only used this a handful of times. And I just don't feel like, it was 26 bucks. I don't feel like I'm ever going to use the entirety of this. I don't know. I feel like I'll probably end up decluttering this before I use it, just because I don't like the way that this looks underneath my eyes. I do kind of want to toss this into a chopping block and decide whether or not I can make it work, or if I just need to like cut ties and declutter it. But yeah, don't feel like I got my money's worth on this one. Another eyeshadow formula, or palette if you will. This is the Sephora Pro Editorial Palette. This was $68, and I don't know why I thought it was a good idea for me to purchase this. I know I wanted a rainbow palette in my collection, and I didn't really have a rainbow palette in my collection at the time, but now I have my BH Cosmetics Weekend Festival palette that works just fine, and I don't wear color that often. Most of these shades are unused. I'm currently trying to pan 3 shades in this palette for my 19 Shadows in 2019 project that I'm doing. But even so, like, I just don't feel like I'm ever going to feel like, if I pan on 3 shades, that doesn't make me feel like I got $68 worth of use. So this is a bummer. I know I've been tempted by the Sephora Pro palettes, like, even recently when they released their, like, 3 new ones. I was tempted, and then I was like, no, like, $68 is so expensive, and you don't even use the one you already have. Even though, like, it's a different color story, it's heavy packaging. The packaging feels super luxurious and nice, but it's also like annoying to carry around with you. So unfortunately, this is one that I wasted my money on. Next, I have my Benefit Cheekathon palette. I just talked about this in high-end makeup products that I don't reach for. I purchased this when I was first getting into makeup, just because I wanted like a base palette with options. But I have a Hoola Mini that I use all the time, and I just don't enjoy reaching into this. I had the Rock. Oh boy. Maybe that'll be easier to use it like this. Less bulky packaging. God. Anyway, I already had the Rocket Tour blush when I purchased this. I want to use this again. I need to like pull this into a shop my stash. And I remember at the time I also did really enjoy the Dallas blush shade. I didn't even know Dandelion was in here. I've considered purchasing that before. But this is also really old. Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can get use out of this, but I feel like these are like $39, or are they $50? These are expensive, and while I've used this, I still don't feel like I got the amount that I paid for it. But again, maybe I'll try and pull this, use it a little bit more. I did also have the shade Coralista in here. I tried to depot that, and well, that went horribly. So anyway, I had to throw that shade away. But yeah, definitely another one I did not feel like I got my money's worth out of. 2 more products to share with you guys. This is the last eyeshadow type of product I have to share with you. It's another palette. It's one of the Marc Jacobs 7-pan palettes, and this is a beautiful eyeshadow palette, but again, it's like blues and greens, and I just don't wear this on a day-to-day basis. I've maybe used this palette. This palette's been in my collection for close to a year now probably, and I maybe reached for it 2 or 3 times, if that. I know I've done like 1 look that I can remember creating, and outside of that I'm not sure I've used it. So I would love to pull this and try and use some of the shades in here. Like these 2 shimmers I think would be beautiful with some looks, and then there's like this more satin grungy shade, and like this teal shade is truly beautiful. Truly beautiful. I wonder if that is a dupe for the Serpentina teal, so I can just get rid of my Serpentina palette. But it's beautiful. But I paid $49 for this, and this isn't one that I'm going to reach for even on a week-to-week basis, so unfortunately wasn't worth my money. And then finally I have a Becca blush here. Now I do have 5 of the Becca blushes, and for the most part I feel like I've gotten my money's worth out of the rest, or at least I use them way more than I use this one. This is in the shade Nightingale. I don't know why I purchased this. It's a beautiful shade, but definitely more suited towards someone who isn't as fair as me. So I just feel like this is too deep, too pigmented for me. I haven't found a way to make this work. This is currently going in my chopping block episode 2, so I am trying to decide whether or not I want to keep this, but I mean, this is not an everyday wearable blush for me. This wouldn't be one that I reach for even on a week-to-week basis, so I paid $32 or $34 for this, I can't remember, and I don't ever see myself getting that much use out of it. So unfortunately, another product that was a waste of my money. And after that, you guys, that concludes the 10 products in my collection. At least 10 products. I mean, there's probably others in my collection I also feel like I haven't got my money's worth out of, but those are the 10 that I am sharing with you guys today. Definitely leave me a comment down below and let me know what products in your collection you feel like you're not getting your money's worth out of. I would definitely love to hear your guys' responses, and if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, don't forget to do so before you go. Other than that, I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye!